what I did was I brought another deck that Deb and I have had for 30 years. And this is called the Motherpiece Tarot deck. And, oh, where's the book? Okay, so this is the book. It's still available on Amazon. And this is a deck that is very feminine in its approach, including the cards are round. So what I'm going to do is, first of all, I don't want to just spoon feed this to you folks, because look, you can buy the books and get anybody's meaning out of the cards, and we talked about this book last week, 78 Degrees of Wisdom by Rachel Pollack, and I like this book very much. I truly do. It has a lot of detail about what the meanings can be. But everybody can buy this book, and so I don't think we add anything if we only talk about the meanings that Rachel puts in. So go ahead and buy the book if you're following us on these tarot readings. Go ahead and buy the book and read that. But in these sessions, I want to see if we can come up with some other meanings or some stories that somehow they represent us. Okay, and so what I want to do is, I have this other deck, the Motherpiece deck, which is definitely got a feminine bent to it, and I'm gonna just pass out the cards. What I want to do is talk about the Rider-Waite set, which is the standard set that probably sells the most decks in the world, and then you go ahead and talk about what you see in the Fool or in the cards. And I don't want to. I want to talk about sort of generically what the cards mean, and then what they mean to you, so that I'm not doing all the talking. And so here's the Fool. Okay, and we last week we did talk about the Fool quite a lot. Let's just go around the table and see remind us what we're supposed to be seeing in the Fool. Because here's why. Because if you have an experience with the cards and understanding what the symbols mean in this particular deck, then you're going to remember it a lot. If you have a story about it, which your mind remembers because we had a conversation about it, that's going to be a lot better than trying to just memorize meanings.
Very good.
Right?
I like that.
And so, okay, so the Fool is the beginning of everything, where the Fool is stepping off the cliff, and he's stepping into the unknown of what the future may hold. There's total possibility. But Des, what else do you see in this card?
His expression strikes me because he looks so hopeful in a sense, and he's not looking at
Right.
his speed. It's how you start out any venture usually is with high hopes, and so he's looking upward.
Right. So he has high hopes, and so his expression is hopeful and gay and carefree, in a way carefree, because he has no cares yet.
So he's not even aware of any obstacles because he's not even looking for them. And the dog down here is either cheering him on or trying to warn him, hey.
Well, or yeah, I mean, it could be cheering him on. The dog could be cheering him on. It could be trying to warn
I take it
him.
as a warning.
Yeah, I mean, certainly my collies were always trying to warn me. I mean, they wanted to herd me into anything. A collie will herd a scorpion, so, you know. So, the dog can always warn you away from the predators type thing, right? But I also think it represents instinct. Okay, it represents the animal part of us that is instinctually wanting new beginnings all the time. And think of the many new beginnings that we've had in our lives. I mean, we do have, every school year is a new beginning, for example. And, you've got a new teacher and you've got new classmates and it's always exciting, right? And so, no matter how many years you've gone to school, you've experienced that new beginning every year. And so that's part of it. Okay. John, you want to further comment?
Well, it's a rather scary environment with the water here on the cliff. So I think there's
Where's the water?
The water back here.
Oh, no. Okay, well, maybe, arguably that could be crashing waves. I never thought of it that way. I never saw that, but yes, you're right.
It's supposed to be the Alps.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be the Alps,
Oh, okay.
but it could be crashing waves, certainly.
So I see danger in this part, but I see confidence up here.
Yeah, there's danger in it.
And he's not going to succumb to the danger.
Right.
Because of his expression.
He's ready to step off, and he has his bag of experiences on his wand, right? And he's got a wand, and wand is symbolic in the tarot of action and fire, of going forward. So he's got his wand with him, so he's ready to go forth like Friar Tuck and Robin Hood. They always had their walking stick with them, right? And I actually had a stick just like that when I climbed Mount Fuji. And
those are neat. Where they brazen the
right, and there's 10 stations on Mount Fuji, and they would burn the station into your stick every level that you go up. And so if you get all the way to the top, you get 10 stations and a little Japanese flag to go on top of it.
I helped a guy get his sticks off of the bus at BWI Airport one time, and I said, "What are these sticks?" And he told me that he brought two sticks. And one was for a friend who had neglected to get a stick on his hike.
Uh-huh.
So he got the stick for him. So he got two sticks.
Two sticks. Uh-huh.
And so I was privileged to hold the two sticks, and I really thought they were amazing. They're very pretty the way the designs are.
Well, this actually goes with the Fool, because the Japanese saying is, "He who never climbs Fuji is a fool. He who climbs it twice is twice a fool." So talk about
You climbed it once, right?
I climbed it once on August 23rd, 1963. Now, do you have the Fool from the Motherpiece?
Yes.
Okay, let me show this to the video. Okay, so here's the Fool in the Motherpiece deck. Okay, so what do you see in that?
This particular Fool is beset by challenges on all sides.
Challenges on all sides. Well,
I'm pretty sure that's the devil's cap mushroom. So
could be, yeah.
If he goes that direction and crosses, he's got this.
Oh, you know your mushroom.
Yeah, I like mushroom stuff.
the devil's cap mushroom, yeah.
Pretty sure that's what that is. Tigers swiping at him. That could go either way. Cats are finicky. We've got, I guess, I don't know my alligator from my crocodile, but across another section of the path, and a vulture behind him. And the challenge here is, I guess when he's venturing out, he's doing it on his hands. So he's already beset by a challenge before he's even really got underway. But
why does he have a challenge before it?
because he's moving on his hands. I mean, can you imagine walking your journey?
Okay, so he's standing on his hands before he even begins. And
And how can
Okay.
you even see the way?
good question.
But then I see that there's a
He's quite-
prize because we got the lotus, and I know you told us
Yeah.
2 weeks back about the lotus.
Well, lotus is a prize in Buddhism.
And then if he gets past this obstacle, then you got the mountain with the sun in the background, and that's a really
Right.
positive thing.
So what we know is that the fool always has obstacles ahead of him, but he doesn't care.
Yeah, I mean he's packed and ready.
He's packed and
He is
ready.
literally with bells on.
Wow. Yes,
Card.
he's packed and ready, and he has bells on his. What? Where is it? Okay, he has bells here. Does he? Well, he has sort of a shortened stave. He only has a cane, but he's got a vulture sitting over him, so the vulture's ready to take him.
That's what I'm saying. So basically, he can't get out of it. It looks like because no matter which way he turns,
Right. So in any
he has to
project,
proceed, right?
so in any project, you always have the vulture and the crocodiles, and the lotus. You don't start on a project unless you think there's something good out there. People do start on projects because they sort of close their eyes to all these challenges, isn't it right? And so the fool represents the beginnings of new projects, new relationships. If you find out that if you see a young woman, for example, who came to you for a reading, well, young women are very typically looking for a relationship with a man. And so that suggests a new relationship. And the same with the young man. Young men are that, but they may also be, oh God, I want to be a warrior. I have to be a warrior. I have to go through the warrior archetype, so I'm going to join the Marines,
My mushrooms. I'm still not sure if that's the devil's cap, but I'm pretty sure it's.
Pardon?
I have to look up my mushrooms.
Okay, but he's got mushrooms in front of him, which are the devil's caps, which if he eats them, he's going to be in trouble. And the vulture is definitely there waiting to see if he collapses, right? And,
But these dangers are not in the weight deck, right? The dangers are not in there.
the dangers are not in there. Well, the danger of falling
for
off the
falling
cliff is certainly there.
Falling up, but I mean, they're
Not as
like
explicit.
The danger of the dog being rabid might be there, but the dog is looking very happy and gay, so from the rider-weight point of view, the fool is very carefree. Basically, he's before you have care, whereas this deck seems to suggest, all the cares are there, and you know that, and
Pick your poison.
pick your poison and just dive in, And the point is that you're talking about a phase of life. If you're talking about the Minor Arcana, you're talking about an activity of life, and you use the cards as a way to cue you on what to talk about, okay? And so you see the fool in a reading, and you can ask the client, do you have any new projects in mind? Because the fool suggests something new is brewing, and you're ready to start out on something. It might be a new love interest. It might be a new project in business. It could be starting to study for a degree, whatever it is. But you might be starting something, and that's what the fool represents. And so, just from a beginner's point of view, you can think of it as, beginnings, and beginnings before all the dangers start to crop up. But obviously, in the Motherpiece deck, we have all the dangers right around. You know, they're there. Okay. So the second card, we've talked about this last week, but the second card is the Magician. First of all, the Magician represents the infinity of beginnings. So this symbol of infinity, the sidewise 8, represents that these things happen all the time, that you have new beginnings. And so I'm not going to do all the talking.
It's almost like he's a high priest of some sort, and he's got his, basically his magic, his secrets that, you know, he's going to do something, but I don't know.
Okay.
And that finger pointed, I forget what that means.
All right. Well, symbolically, he's pointing to the spiritual world, heaven, and he's pointing to the material world, earth. And so he's channeling, he's channeling, making up a word there, that can happen in the tarot. He's channeling the energies with his wand, which is pointing toward heaven. He's channeling the energies from heaven to earth. So one arm points to heaven and one arm points to earth. And on his table, he has the 4 symbols of the 4 suits of the tarot. So the 4 symbols of how things happen in the world. So the pentacles represent attainment. The cups represent emotion. The swords represent discernment. And the wands represent action. Getting things done. Fire. So are you seeing anything else in this, John?
Well, it looks like to me, he's going to mix and match these different things and create something different. So the 4 suits, he's going to mix and match the 4. So it's almost like he has all
the elements at his disposal.
It's like he's the reader.
Yeah, it's sort of like he's the reader, but he has the elements of life available to him, and he's going to do something with them. Correct. And from him, action is going to come. Okay. All right, so that's good.
So what he represent in toto? He would represent an organizing principle? For a plan of action?
I think he's more an action principle. Something is going to happen into the world. Okay. He's the gleam in your father's eye. Right. I think that might cover it, actually. Okay, now let me show it to the video here. So, John has the Magician from the Motherpiece deck. Okay, and so you want to describe this? Do you see anything more from this?
Well, I see some connection with an archetype or a tradition here. This is a sphinx or something.
What's the archetype for tradition?
This is a sphinx.
Oh, a sphinx. Okay.
And it looks like
so it's
pointing
back to history.
Egyptian
Very good. Yep, that's a good thing, right?
Which is not in the other. I didn't have a sense of that.
Right.
This is actually more dramatic in the sense that he's placing a knife in the heavens and he's drawing lightning. So that's almost like an energy.
I can't see it. I'm sorry. Okay, so he's using a knife to draw lightning. Okay, he's using a sword to draw lightning. And the Sphinx represents Earth in this.
Earth.
Yeah, okay.
And then he has what looks like a firebrand here.
Right, okay.
So earth, air,
And Fire.
fire, and water is here with the cups.
Right.
So I see the cups, and these must be the equivalent of the pentacles. I'm not sure. They look like cow pies or something. But I'm curious about his dress here. He's dressed in a leopard suit or leopard skin.
Okay,
The leopard changes its spots.
Pardon?
The leopard changes its spots. What's that?
Well, can a leopard change its spots? I don't know, but he's definitely dressed in a leopard suit. And so what I would interpret that as is he feels his instinctual self, and he wants to represent his instinctual self in this magic trick that he's going to do. So there is an element of instinct in there. You know, the gleam in your father's eye definitely is an element of instinct.
But is that more of a feminine perspective because of this card being a feminine card?
It's not a feminine card normally.
Feminine version of the tarot.
Well, okay, as a feminine
So is the
version.
instinct more attuned to the feminine?
Well, as more attuned to the feminine, I think the leopard suit suggests that she knows that it's your instinct that has the gleam in your eye. So in Crimson Tide, Denzel Washington and Gene Hackman are having this conversation as they're having this face-off over whether nuclear war is going to begin, right? And so Hackman says, it's like girls in high school. They all know that all the guys want to. Do they? Yes. Yes,
Those
they
are what guys are about. Yes.
Yeah, that's what guys are about. Okay.
Speaking from the perspective of a high school student.
Okay, so now we have the High Priestess. That's yours. And that's yours for next time. So the High Priestess. And the High Priestess, I found out what in the ensuing week, I found out what the crown of the High Priestess represents. The crown of the High Priestess represents the 3 phases of the moon. Okay, new moon, full moon, waning moon, right? So we really discussed this in great detail last week, but do you have anything more to add to this particular High Priestess? To the Rider-Waite High Priestess. She represents the unconscious side of the psyche here.
No, just the fact that she's so covered. We discussed that last week. But
You know, she's sort of draped and her clothes don't quite
hidden.
fit her, so she's young, so she doesn't really know what it's all about. Remember the movie Alfie? What's it all about, Alfie?
We got treated to song, John.
What's that?
We got treated to song.
So here's the Motherpiece deck, which is going to give some different associations. Okay, so what are your associations with that?
Pure feminine energy and fertility. 'Cause that reminds me of the figurines. They've dug up
Oh, yeah.
that squatting childbirth type.
Right. So pure feminine energy and
I do not know what these are. Just well, they're not tablets because
they look like shields
so
or
it's
something. Well, here she's got the pillars.
Thank you, the columns.
Okay.
So I don't know what the circular.
But in the Motherpiece deck, it looks more like shields of some sort. We don't know what the symbols on the shields mean. So if you want to know what the symbols and the shields mean, you need to buy the Motherpiece set.